guys, it's Angelo, and in the latest World of Warcraft beta build, we've seen some pretty big changes to Void Torrent, making it a lot stronger than it previously was, with it now being a serious competitor not only in its talent row, but potentially revolving around the fact that it will become a vital part of our rotation. With this change, I've decided I might as well also take the time and talk about the current state of the Shadow Priest on the beta, recapping how many of the previous changes have affected the spec as a whole, specifically of course in that talent row, and whether or not most changes were good or bad in general. With Shadowlands releasing on November 23rd, we have just about 4 weeks of beta content left, but still a lot of things to cover. Now, if you would like to join the discussion with everything Priest or World of Warcraft related, then be sure to click the link in the description box below in order to join our Discord. And if this video will be interesting or helpful to you, be sure to leave a like at the end. Alright, now with that being said, and without any further ado, let's go right ahead and have a look. Alright, so in our latest beta patch, Void Torrent has seen a very interesting change, as stated before. As always, I'll read out the change for all of us to be on the same sheet of music, before then discussing everything with you. Okay, so Void Torrent is still a beam which will be channeled into the target, but now only dealing 306% of your spell power as shadow damage, down from previous 340%, and not over the course of 4 seconds anymore, but over the course of 3 seconds. It now generates 60 insanity, up from previously 30 insanity, and has had its cooldown changed from a 45-second cooldown to a 30-second cooldown. Important to add is that our shadow damage over time effects on the target are not refreshed anymore. All of this is actually quite huge, so let's get into detail here. The 60 insanity is actually reverting back to its initial iteration back on the alpha, or rather on the beta, and 60 insanity actually gives us a full Devouring Plague or 2 Searing Nightmares to spend by using a Void Torrent every 30 seconds. Even though Void Torrent does not hold our dots anymore, its new damage output is quite high because of the reduced cooldown and channel time, and it can essentially be considered a 4th dot on the target, which is insanely strong but only lasts during the short time you're channeling it. Void Torrent will actually deal as much, if not more damage than Mind Blast on the target throughout your fight, depending on your Dark Thoughts procs of course, and your gear. All in all, this is actually a very good change for the spec, and even though Void Torrent now seems to be our strongest talent, according to simulations and testing, this is actually good because it offers some potential diversity within its talent row. Void Torrent is paired with Mindbender and Damnation, with Damnation being rather situational, and Mindbender previously being the complete go-to talent because Void Torrent just didn't perform as strongly. Void Torrent's biggest problem was its cooldown and its channel time of 4 seconds, and the new channel time of 3 seconds and its 60 insanity generation make it a very strong competitor, especially so in single target scenarios, where it actually even outshines Mindbender on the beta currently. Keep in mind though that Mindbender had recently received nerfs to its insanity output, which of course plays into the cards of Void Torrent. We could potentially be lining up here for a meta where we play Mindbender in AoE or certain stacked cleave situations, especially when we can pair it with Shadowflame Prism as our legendary potentially, or when we just cannot sacrifice any global cooldowns for a full Void Torrent channel, while we use Void Torrent in any single target encounter or 2 target cleave encounters where we simply want to take the talent that just honestly deals the most damage. This does worry me a little though when it comes to Damnation. When Damnation was initially released, I was actually really excited about it because of the gameplay options it actually opens up for us. After the many changes which had been going on throughout the beta and ever since the Shadowlands the Shadow Priest had been reworked, Damnation certainly saw a drop in performance and prevalence, and it has a very difficult time finding its place in PvE content currently because of the way its talent row is set. This brings us to the current state of the Shadow Priest though. Again, Shadowlands is right on the horizon, and this is the perfect time to talk about how the Shadow Priest is looking. Many of you guys watching were either super happy over the Shadow Priest rework, or were still kind of on the fence, while some obviously thoroughly enjoyed the Legion and BFA Shadow Priest and hated to see it go. I try to keep my videos as objectively as possible so that you guys can decide for yourself whether or not you want to play a spec or a class that I cover, or you do not. My honest opinion on the Shadowlands Shadow Priest though is pretty clear. The spec has never, and I mean never, felt as good as it does now. The Legion Shadow Priest was, as many of you guys know, the spec which I've enjoyed playing the most in my entire time playing World of Warcraft. I have to admit though that this new version of the Shadow Priest is arguably even better. It may not have the grandiose, revolutionary design like the Legion Shadow Priest did, but this new Shadow Priest makes everything within its toolkit work and synergize. If the spec will be tuned by the numbers, then gone will be the days where we can't play M+ with pugs because our damage patterns just don't fit with any form of pull. Gone will be the days where we struggle to find footing in certain aspects of an encounter, like lacking single target or even more so AoE, while only being the kings in cleave damage. We're still the kings in cleave damage, but we just do that better than everything else, while still being great at everything else currently. Gone will be the days where our damage will be reliant on everything being perfect basically, and one missed Void Bolt will already result in a huge loss of DPS down the line. All in all, this new Shadow Priest will be much more inviting to new players or rerollers and the like, while also offering a skill-based spec with a skill cap for the players who want to push their gameplay to the limit. There still are a few factors which I may feel come back as being problematic in a while, for example Twist of Fate being comparatively weak, as well as Hungering Void being quite strong currently, forcing the talent to be a go-to pick unless you're playing Mythic+. I'll go into more issues in an upcoming video where I take a detailed final look at the Shadow Priest right before launch, but I'll leave you with all of this for now. Let me know what you think. How excited are you for the Shadow Priest in Shadowlands? Do you think you'll be picking up the spec or will continue playing it? Why or why not? Be sure to let me know how you feel about the changes to Void Torrent as well in the comments down below. As always, thank you everyone so much for watching. A special thanks to my growing amount of supporters over on Patreon. You guys are awesome, thank you so much. And if you've enjoyed this video and want to see more of my content in the future, then of course be sure to subscribe, and if this video helped you out, be sure to leave a like. Now, as always my friends, have a good one, get excited for Shadowlands as it's just around the corner, get your last preparations ready, and I will see you all in the next one.